Hi, it's Ray from Pro Shaper Workshop in Charlton, Massachusetts. There's Frank again with us. He's the super volunteer. We lost him last July, and this is the project we're doing. I'm putting a ton of pictures up, probably over 300 now, of AI designs. And this is a spectacular AI design, but I have my doubts every day because I'm making better designs every day. If you're not following me on Facebook, get on Facebook and see what I'm putting out from Midjourney, these incredible designs. So everybody, the comments on Facebook, which are repetitive, they go, yeah, but it's not real. Okay, it's not real. It's just a picture. But you learn from them. And you can learn from a picture like this because that's a potential build. And that's what I'm trying to encourage to bring the hobby up to a new level, is to go from restoration to scratch building and to expand the potential of the hobby and somehow bring young people in. Well, we're going to start today. We've made 3 episodes of this video series so far. We're going to start episode 4, which we're doing today. We're actually going to start the wireform process. A lot of the criticism oftentimes is, yeah, but, it's just a 2D design. You got to make it 3D, and that's where all the work is. And that is what we're going to do, is show you the process of how you turn this little 2D picture without having to know a really elaborate CAD program. But the programs that they use for software for card designing, oftentimes like $50,000 a seat or so, nobody's going to do that. Essentially, what you're doing in CAD is you're creating lines, and you're at a scale, and you can create those lines and move those lines all around and adjust them. Well, you can do the same thing with wireform, and that's why I like wireform, and it's so inexpensive. I bought this bundle of wires, 1/4-inch hot roll wire. They cost me $3.06 for a 24-foot length. So it's not an expensive proposition to do this wireforming process. If you go to a wood supplier, we use Home Depot here in the U.S. now. It's like they've wiped out all the smaller suppliers pretty much. So you got to go to Home Depot. And plywood prices have been rising and stuff, and then they were higher. I think they might have dropped back. I don't know. But if you bought, 20, 30 sheets of plywood, that's a pretty big investment. Now, you start cutting them up with a jigsaw and you screw up, that's a costly error. There's a lot of time involved and the cost of the materials. And I don't think you could recover the materials. This, you bend it wrong, you just straighten it out and rebend it again. It's not a problem. The main tool that we use, we can use rollers to make nice circles and stuff, but 2 little pins like this, drill them in a drill press, put 2 steel pins, grade 8 bolts or something a little hard, you weld them on the back. We've got about 5 or 6 of these little tools, and you just bend, and you make sure when you bend, you keep it all on one plane. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You can straighten it pretty easy. So what we're going to attempt to do today in today's video, we're looking at this view here, up the hood, up to the cowl, and that will probably be 1 piece of wire. So basically that's a nice flowing curve, and we're going to guesstimate on that, and we're going to take, I have clamps, rubber clamps. We'll clamp that wire once we bend it onto here, and then we'll put the windshield wire in. We'll have a little crown in that windshield, and then we'll put the roof in. The roof might take 2 or 3 pieces, and I have no vision of the back of this. There's no view there, so I got to design the back end of the car. So that's a little bit of a challenge. And this is the fun of the process, is using your artistic abilities to try to integrate a design that's flowing with the rest of what you have here. It has to have a continuity in the design all the way through. So it's really a really simple, elegant design. Like I said, we're going to do the center profile line. We'll clamp it to here. It'll be a 1/2 inch off because center is in the middle of this 1-inch tube that we made this out of. And then I think we'll do is we'll make these wheel well openings. And those, as I mentioned in the last one, would be 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of wire bent. and then MIG weld it together. We'll have to get the MIG welder over here. So that's 8 pieces, and then probably 8 pieces here in the back wheel well opening. And we'll get those mounted by projecting a piece of tubing over here to hold those wheel well openings, and we'll be able to slide the tubing forward and back and up and down, so have adjustment on it. Now, normally the way I do this is I have a drawing board that's in the back. It's a 20-foot long drawing board, and I use this magnetic strip that's 1/4 of an inch wide. It's the same thing as refrigerator magnets, which is a plastic that has iron embedded in it. And I can take that plastic, just like a CAD line, and I can move that plastic line anywhere I want. Then after I get and look at it from 20 feet and I like what I see, then I just ink the line in on the piece of, I use Tyvek because it's really strong. And then I can bend the wires to the Tyvek. But in the interest of simplicity, because not everybody's going to be building that big drawing board, they can make this, though. As I mentioned, I think it was like $100 to make this with all the materials, and not a big deal. It was like 2 or 3 hours to make it. We're going to bend the wires, and we're going to make some mistakes. We're going to use the 20-foot or the 30-foot look to see if it looks like the picture. So we bend the wire, we clamp it on, and we make adjustments just like we would with that plastic line, or just like you would do with the CAD line. And we're using the GTV6 outside dimensions and wheelbase and track and all that. And we're hoping that that's going to look good as we interpret it using those dimensions onto this totally different vehicle. Try to concentrate on getting one side done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of that 1/4 inch wire, and I'm going to bend from here to here. I got to guesstimate how long that's going to be from here to here. I'm going to leave it a little bit long. I can always cut it later. All right, so I guesstimated here about that much, because I know there's more than I need. And I'm just going to cut this off with the hacksaw here. So this is our first wire. We're going to attach it right here, and we're going to attach it with, these are the Home Depot 99-cent clamps, still at Home Depot. Tractor supply for the rubber. You got to cut it up with a bandsaw, put 1 bolt in them, and they last for years and years. Great for holding the sheet metal panels on when you make the sheet metal panels, and they hold it on to the wireform, and we'll use them for this too. All right, I got my wire cut, but now I got to bend it. But what I'm going to try to do is establish some heights, which might be off. It doesn't matter, because we got super adjustability here. Same as CAD. CAD's all about adjustability. But we needed some kind of guide to show us what that curve is going to look like. So we're going to put some tape on each one of these uprights, and I'll represent this low point. I'm going to go from about this point here, because I'll catch this around down to the bottom. That'll be 1 wire here, and then another wire here, so that'll be 2 wires. That'll be later. And that's going to be off over on the edge here. Cantilever it out. So we do have the GTV height number, which will measure that and put that there. And that gives you a lot of the ergonomics. You got to fit in this thing. So if you make it too low, it's going to be very difficult to get in it. If you make it too high, it looks kind of a little goofy. The front of that Alfa could be right about that height. So I'm going to put that about right there. I might be an inch high or an inch low, I don't know. We're going to do an imaginary line coming up here. So let's go to about here, and then we're going to go to here. And this might actually be beyond where the windshield is. I don't know yet. So there's my 3rd line right there. And technically, I think there should be an upright probably about here, because that front section and the hood up to the cowl will probably go to here, but that'll be like a construction line coming over to here. And then our windshield line is going to be up here. But what I need now is a total height here, which I can put on this one, and this upright here, we can put the total height. That'd be the top of the roof. So there's all our specs from the GTV6. So I'm going to get a tape measure now and measure up from the floor to 52 and a third inches here. We might make this car a little bit lower than the GTV. It might be 49 inches or something. We'll see what works. All right, so there's top of my roof line. I put it almost at 53 inches there. That looks pretty low, so I think 53 will probably work. The windshield's going to have about that much drop. Let's see. So let's measure with my 2 fingers. I measure with my fingers. All right. So that's like 15, 16 inches tall on the windshield. If this line is coming up like this, I need 15 inches here. I got it sloped back here like this. This line is going to have to come down. I got this a little too high probably. So let's put this down to here. And we'll bring this one down just a little bit. But remember, we have to have the motor in here too. Let's measure the motor because it is quite tall motor. It has a big sump. Let's see what that motor measurement is. And we're going to need, typically a car has to have at least 5 inches of road clearance from the bottom of it to the ground. You can get by with 4 if you get it closer. Anytime you're going to hit a curb. I once hit a speed bump on my Alfa back in 1970. Blew the oil pan right off on the speed bump. So I'm going to go measure the motor next. All right, here's the GTV motor, and you can see the oil pan is pretty down there. And this is the fuel injection. We're probably going to put carburetors on it. Let's see what we got for a height on that. Say 28 inches. That needs plus another 4 inches, so that's 32 inches. Look at that. We got 35 inches there. So there's our 28. And that gives us about 6 inches for ground clearance. So I could come down with that maybe just a little bit for now. So now we essentially got a nice line here, right here to here. The question is that dropping enough in the front? So you got to imagine a line on there. The Alfa grill would be about that tall. I'll give it 13 inches tall, maybe 14. Because that's a nice tall one. And then we got probably 8 inches, so 14 and 8 inches, that's 22. 22 to the top of that to the ground. And then we're going to be picking the line up over here, so it's like 24. Let's see where we're at. That was a guesstimate before. I'm at 28 inches, so I probably could come down a little bit with that. Let me try going down with that a little. So that's what I want to do. I want to connect those 3 dots with a nice single plane curve, meaning when I bend the wire, I want the wire only bending on one plane. So typically we use this little bender. I showed you earlier with the 2. It's about at least a 3/8 gap between the 2 pins. The pins are 1/2 inch. And they're just grade 8 bolts, and you just MIG weld them or TIG weld them on the bottom. Drill it out on a drill press. So I could bend this on that little bender, but I can also bend this just with my foot. And I'd probably have a better time of keeping it in plane here so I don't get several compound curve. And we don't want a compound. We want a simple plane. So again, all of this work is all lever and fulcrum. This is the fulcrum. This is the lever. I'm just inducing a little radius into this thing. And it's all a guesstimate. I didn't get enough down here. I got to make sure I hold this straight. And this is what you don't want to do is kink. I just made a little bit of a kink there. I was too prominent right there, so I got to take a little bit of that out, and I'll add a little bit adjacent to it. So let's see if that connects the dots. Too strong. All right, so I got to take some of the bend out. One of the things is it's still got a little oil on here. It's really oiled up pretty bad when you buy it, so you got a lacquer thinner and clean it up pretty nice. I should take and clean this again because I can feel the oil building up on my fingers here. So I'm just taking a little bit out. That's the nice thing. It's add, subtract. You cut that piece of wood, that's subtracting. It's not so easy to add when you cut the piece of wood. Metal, you put too much of a bend in it, you unbend it. You cut it too short, you just weld it on. So we love what you can do with metal. I still got a little bit of a hint of a kink here. I got to take that out. So you eyeball down the line and see, I still got a little bit of kink here. That's where I had my foot. I was too strong on the fulcrum. All right, that's looking a little better. Yeah, that's our first line. So what does that tell you? Okay, we got a nice little line there. But if you look at from here to here, it's a much stronger curve. So we don't have enough curve here. So we'll have to throw a little more curve in that front, which means we might have to lower that nose down a little bit. So we know this is our starting point. And let's take a measurement here. So it's very easy to look at this picture, see a strong curve here, and this doesn't have it. So between these two uprights, we're going to estimate here, and we got a 30 inches in between at the center. So we're going to have to come up strong with that. We'll see if we can maintain that point, and we'll deal with this section first. We might have to drop that down a little bit. And if you have bad knees, this is what you need. Nice rolling seat here. We made these years ago, and we use them all the time. I might have to use the little tool to catch that end. That's a lot better, but now we got this end drooping down, so we got to deal with this. Got to bring this up. All right, let's see, drop that down just a little bit. I'm going to pivot it from here, see? Okay, bring it about right, the 2 or 3 inches below that line. Yeah, go ahead, clamp it. All right, so that line's looking a lot better. Again, we might not be there exactly. We're going to disregard the hood scoop on this. That hood scoop is going to be an add-on in the aluminum after. So we're just thinking of a theoretical line that's this curve from the windshield to here. That's it. Now that probably is pretty close. Now we got to figure in the windshield line, and then we'll start putting the roof line in. The back end is very short, and that's what gives it the nice look, the big, long nose and the short back end. All right, so I guesstimated this wire length here for the windshield, and I held it up here like this. This would be the top curve on the roof, and I put it up there like this. And that might be too long on the hood. I don't know. So I want the freedom to move this way. And I didn't have any material here. I could have welded it on, but I got another rod here. And I want the freedom to move this way, too. We'll be able to clamp it there and clamp it there. But I'm going to redo this, copy what I got here. But I'm going to leave another probably 10 inches on this end here. And that will give me enough to make all those adjustments. You just go incrementally, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And I like that curve I put in on this one, which might not be right. We're going to triple check it later. But see, now I got that extra bit over there. So now I got to come around a little more. I got that pretty close now. I'm maybe a little stronger than what I had before, so you can bend it back on this too. Just bring it back a little bit. Yeah, and then I want to put a little bit of bend. That's would be the windshield, which is generally on flat. They got a little bit of a curve to them. It's a compound curve windshield. So there, I got a nice little curve to it. So now we'll take 2 more clamps, and we'll throw this in there and see what it tells us. We stand back, and we look. Of course, we're at an angle here, and this is a straight-on 90-degree profile. That's a 3/4 view profile. So there's a lot of interpretation. I bent the radius, I think, a little bit too strong here, and then it needs radius up in here. So I'm going to back off here, and I'm going to put some in here. How do I know that? It's very simple. I just look at the picture, and the picture tells me, you're not right. So I got to make the corrections. I got infinite correctability here. All right, we're going to back that off a little bit. Maybe where I had it the first time was right on the money. And then we're going to add a little bit in the roof line here. Remember, we're going to try to keep this on one plane. So there's our line there. I got a little bit of a kink right here. I'll take that out. And add a little more right in here. All right, so that's what we got so far. I'm not buying it totally yet. We'll get the roof line in next. We can bend this for the roof line. Put the roof right there. And then we'll come back down for the back body section. So, again, we'll use the foot technique here. These are the critical wires. We got to get these looking really good before we go on to the next step. Let's get it clamped there. Let's see what that looks like. So the windshield might be a little short. I think I'm going to come up with the whole deal a little bit. I'm going to come up with this. By coming up with that one, I gave it a little more of illusion of drop down, which is what I want. And bring this one up a little bit more too. I gotta put more curve in that, I think. Yeah. Get more curve on that. Yeah, that's not bad. There's not enough curve in the roof yet, though. I gotta get more curve in that roof. That's looking better. All right. And then, all right, so I got the roof line. It's getting close. And I don't have any inputs on the back of it. So now you got to do artistic interpretation. But right now I'm going to not do that. I'm going to just try to concentrate on the front right at this moment. We don't want to make the video too long. We made a start. I think you got the idea what we're doing. It might be 20% off. It might be 10% off. It might be 5% off. Until we get more information in here, which means the wheel wells and that top of the fender line, that's going to give us the really good look. And I got to develop what the back is going to look like. I need to put this radius line here and then come back with the back window and design the whole back end. I want to keep the design harmonious with the front. So that's going to take some heavy thought. And Mark says we're already at about an hour of videoing already. And he'll cut it down probably 25% or so. So I don't want to make the videos too long. I think you've got a lot of the process, what we did today. And I just want to thank you for watching. And remember to tell your friends, remember to share it. And check out my Facebook page if you want to see some amazing AI design cars. And we're trying to get this AI community building And the ultimate goal is to have all AI car shows somewhere in the country that we could control. We'll be the committee that puts it all together and stuff. And it'll be a lot of fun. So Ray Chalene from Pro Shaper Workshop in Charlton, thanks for watching.